Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. So this evening we're doing something a little bit different. This is the community challenge night. So for tonight we're watching an interactive movie which you all paid for with your chocolate feathers. So thank you everyone that donated. So this is Dear Esther, which is an interactive ghost story. I've never played anything like this before, so I have no idea what it's going to be like. I think you'll pretty much just kind of walk around and get like cutscenes or voiceovers or something like that. So let's get started.
Dear Esther, I have lost track of how long I have been here, and how many visits I have made overall. Certainly the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me. I could stumble blind across these rocks, the edges of these precipices, without fear of missing my step and plummeting down to sea. Besides, I have always considered that if one is to fall, it is critical to keep one's eyes firmly open.
Okay, so usually I always play with my controls inverted, and for some reason with this game you can invert the up and down camera, but you can't invert the left and right. So luckily I don't have to do any fighting or anything, so yeah, bear with me if I'm faffing around with the camera a bit. So I think the idea is to just walk around and see what happens. So it's another very atmospheric game, similar in the way that the Spirit of the North was. Hey Quantum, how you doing? I'm hoping that there's lots of voiceovers so that we don't get bored while you're around, because there's not really anything else to do. I don't think you actually do anything at all in the game. How are you this evening? Did you eventually get that dungeon done, or have you not been playing today? Is this like a... Oh, the controls the wrong way around. This is going to... Can I get down here? Oh, perhaps I can go down this way. Hey Night Archer, how are you doing? I'm really well, thank you. I hope you're having a good day. This is making me want to go to the beach. Oh, you managed to get it done. Oh, I'm glad, Quantum. I don't understand why you can invert the up and down axis, but not the left and right. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I keep going the wrong way. I don't even know if I'm going the right way. I don't know if there is a right or the wrong way.
When you were born, your mother told me, a hush fell over the delivery room. A great red birthmark covered the left side of your face. No one knew what to say, so you cried to fill the vacuum. I always admired you for that you cried to fill whatever vacuum you found. I began to manufacture vacuums just to enable you to deploy your talent. The birthmark faded by the time you were 6 and had gone completely by the time we met, but your fascination with the empty and its cure remained.
Yeah, I don't really understand all of that. That's very strange. Also, who is he talking about? So it looks like there's a lighthouse in the distance. Oh, you were just tired,
The
are
mound
you,
is clearly
Night
the focal
Archer?
point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then?
What have you been up to today, Night Archer? So are they describing like a shipwreck or something? I'm not sure. Seatbelts? You wouldn't have seatbelts on a boat. Maybe plane crash?
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
So he's talking about white lines cut into the cliffs, but I haven't seen anything like that yet here. Is there anything over here maybe? Yeah, you finished work and then fell asleep while watching a stream. Yeah, I pretty much fall asleep instantly after eating my dinner every day. So as we were coming along here, I could see like what looked like a stone circle somewhere in over here. Yeah, down there. Maybe we need to go down there.
I quote directly: a motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most God-forsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
Right, is there some way to get... I think perhaps we just have to keep following this path. I don't think there's any way to get down there. I think we just need to keep going this way.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
Okay, so let's have a look at this
I would
cave.
leave you presents outside your retreat in this interim space between cliff and beach. I would leave you loaves and fishes,
Oh dear.
but the fish stocks have been depleted and I've run out of bread. I would row you back to your homeland in a bottomless boat, but I fear we would both be driven mad by the chatter of the sea creatures.
Looks like maybe I drowned? I don't know what happened there. Can I not go in this cave then? Perhaps I can get on the edge? So I guess I have to stay away from the water then. Oh, strange markings on the walls here. I have no idea what this says. I love the sound of seagulls. This is just making me want to be at the seaside. Another game with beautiful music.
He still maintains he wasn't drunk, but tired. I can't make the judgment or the distinction anymore. I was drunk when I landed here, and tired too. I walked up the cliff path in near darkness and camped in the bay where the trawler lies beached. It was only at dawn that I saw the bothy and decided to make my temporary lodgings there. I was expecting just the aerial and a transmitter stashed in a weatherproof box somewhere on the mount. It had an air of uneasy permanence to it. Like all the other buildings here, erosion seems to have evaded it completely.
Oh, what's this? Looks like a Bible, and I don't know, some other kind of book. Oh, which way do we need to go next? Not sure going down there is a good idea. So it's a bit like the Spirit of the North, as in the game. Doesn't give you any clues at all as to what you're supposed to be doing. Oh, we got a trophy. Donnelly?
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
So is that buildings in the distance? Oh, this looks like it might be the shipwreck. So it was a boat? I'm really confused. Looks like a cargo ship. So I think I need to go back this way. I'm not sure if I can actually get onto the ship. Doesn't look like it. No, can't go this way.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
So there was a car accident and a shipwreck.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
Don't know what these symbols mean. Don't think I can go any further. The voiceovers seem to be quite random. I'm wondering if...
What charnel house lies at the foot of this abyss? How many dead shepherds could fill this hole?
They seem to be quite random, so I'm wondering if I'm meant to kind of trigger them in a certain order, or if it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that looks pretty nasty down there. I'm sure I'm not supposed to go down there. So it looks like there's another path going around the cliff that way, and then we can go over this way to this abandoned room.
I've begun to climb, away from the sea and towards the centre. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
So has this whole island been abandoned? Is everything on here in ruins? Or is there still people that live here?
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him, either.
That sounds like a bit of a gruesome death. Death by goat. Don't know of any diseases you can catch from goats.
Inventory. A trestle table we spread wallpaper on in our first home. A folding chair. I laughed at you for bringing camping in the lakes. I was uncomfortable later and you laughed then. This diary, the bed with the broken springs. Once asleep you have to remember not to dream. A change of clothes, Donnelly's book, stolen from Edinburgh Library on the way here. I will burn them all on the last morning and make an aerial of my own.
So we're obviously hearing pages, pages from his diary. So, wondering, is Esther, did she die in that car accident? Is that... I don't know. There's more glowy markings on the walls here, the same as the ones we had in the, or similar to the ones up in the cave. Oh dear. I don't think I was meant to
Jacobson's
fall off there.
ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird.
I'm not sure if I can actually get down here or not. Oh, now there's a fence. Could have done with that up the top where I fell off.
They found Jacobson in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. His fingernails were raw and bitten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent moss that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps trying to reach the Bothy's fire before curling into a stone and expiring.
That sounds pretty nasty. Nasty way to go.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
So are they all, everyone in the story, they all gonna die? Have they all died? Okay, what is this? Can I go down there or not? No. I think we died again. Oh, another trophy, Jacobson. Don't really know what these trophies mean.
Did Jacobson crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Okay, so I guess I was meant to fall down there? Wow. was going to say, where's the light coming from? There's a candle burning there. To go now. This music is very beautiful, kind of creepy and beautiful at the same time.
I first saw him sat by the side of the road. I was waiting for you to be cut out of the wreckage. The car looked like it had been dropped from a great height. The guts of the engine spilled over the tarmac, like water underground.
Okay, so we're learning more about the car crash. I'm not going to go in there. I'm pretty sure I drowned when I go in water. Okay, I suppose I better go in there just to make sure. Out. We're going down the sea. I remember going to visit some caves in Devon once when I was a kid, and I found some of them. They weren't anywhere as pretty as this one. Oh, we've got another ledge. Oh, I think we can walk around this one. I think that's just, is that where I just came from? Down there. So there's 3 caves that come to this area. So I think maybe that one in the middle was the first one we came through. I haven't gone that way.
In my final dream, I sat at peace with Jakobsen and watched the moon over the Sandford Junction. Goats grazed on the hard shoulder, a world gone to weed and redemption. He showed me his fever scars, and I mine, between each shoulder the nascency of flight.
Okay, I feel like there's too many different ways to go now. Is that more markings across the other side? Okay, I think that's a dead end. Can I get back out of the water? I don't think I can. Very slow going through the water. There we go. Let's see if we can cross over here maybe. Okay, let's go up this path here.
This is a drowned man's face, reflected in the moonlit waters. It can only be a dead shepherd who has come to drunk drive you home.
So the reason for the car crash was obviously due to a drunk driver then. Wait, what does this say? This looks like it's English. Something Damascus. Can't read that top word. Is it behold? Behold, Damascus is taken. it's written again. Damascus is taken. What does that mean? Was he not comparing this island to Damascus at the beginning? I forget. I know he mentioned something about it. There it is again. It's written over and over. Damascus is taken. What's that? Away from being? Away from being a city, maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the last word is. Can't get a good angle on this one. I think, is it the same way? I don't know. I don't know what it says. Do I have to swim across here? Maybe. I think this, all the kind of background noises and the music would be really nice to fall asleep to. I think I might have to put the bottle on when I go to sleep and just listen to the music. Or maybe play through it without talking so I don't have to listen to myself. Right, what's this? Oh no! I didn't mean to fall down there. Okay, that's me dead again. Oh, what's this? It feels like I'm underwater. This looks like a motorway or something. I don't know how to get out of here or to get up or... What's this? Okay, this is kind of weird. I don't think any of the... Maybe if I go upwards? No, that doesn't seem to be working here. Like it did in the water before. Okay, that's kind of weird. Is that maybe like your life flashing before your eyes before you die or something? I'm still underwater, I think. How do I get out? we've got another trophy. This one is called Esther. Okay, so we're coming out of the caves now. Oh, it's a full moon.
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
The candles are everywhere. Makes it feel like the whole island is like some kind of shrine. Oh, we've got some photos here. Okay, there's one over the car that obviously crashed. Yeah, the other one is like skid marks showing the car. I'm not sure what the middle photo is. Is that like a car door? Possibly at a weird angle.
Dear Esther, I find each step harder and heavier. I drag Donnelly's corpse on my back across these rocks, and all I hear are his whispers of guilt, his reminders, his burnt letters, his neatly folded clothes. He tells me I was not drunk at all.
Okay, so that was the guy that was drunk then, and he obviously died. What's this? Oh, it's a like a portable I forget the name of it. What you use to start people's hearts when they stop. So they've got like medical equipment. So they obviously tried to save. I'm guessing it was Donnelly's life. Supposed to be where he's buried? Is this different places where all of the people are buried? I don't know. It feels like it would be a weird thing to put by your wife's grave, so I don't think it's hers. I think this is just joining up with the road that we just came. came from, so I think we'll need to go this way. Follow the candles around the shore, I guess. More cave drawings. These things are these meant to be like chemical, I don't know what you would call them, but I don't know, maybe you know what I mean. Like chemical symbols. Equations, quantum, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean, though, don't you? Okay, I can't tell what that picture is of. Is that maybe Esther? Can't really get a close enough look at the picture. Hey Gubbins, how you doing? It is very atmospheric. I'm not sure if some bits of it may be a little bit spooky, but it's more atmospheric than spooky, I think. But it's got really beautiful music in certain areas, and it's basically just you're just walking around, kind of just looking at what's, you know, just kind of discovering clues, and there's not anything tangible you can actually do, but there's lots of voiceovers if you've only just popped in. The guy is reading extracts from his diary, so you're kind of piecing together a story. So far, we know there's been a car accident, and they haven't specifically said anyone died, but I think his wife maybe died in the car accident, and then the person who was driving was drunk. So there's lots of references to drunk driving. We're just walking along, and there's lots of like, oh look, this looks like bits of the wreckage here. That's like a car door, an exhaust, some tyres. Have I heard of What Remains of Edith Finch? I have not, Gubbins. So that's a similar sort of game, is it? I'll have to look into that. I have found two other interactive... Actually, these ones are more like proper interactive movies. This one is kind of more like a... I don't know, more like an interactive story rather than movie. But there I found two games on... PlayStation Store, which are like, I like proper movies, but I haven't played anything like that before, so I think I might have to get them and maybe have another movie night with those. They look really good.
There were chemical diagrams on the posters on the walls on the waiting room. It seemed appropriate at the time. Still life abstractions of the processes which had already begun to break down your nerves and your muscles in the next room. I crammed diazepam as I once crammed for chemistry examinations. I am revising my options for a long and happy life.
Yeah, it's very different from obviously the normal kind of games that I play. So we've got more writing in here. I don't think I can read this either. Maybe I need to go back a bit. Don't want to drown. Something around. Something shone? Is that shone around? Something from heaven shone around. Light. A light from heaven shone around.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
So there's his letters made into boats. So what's this here? More writing on the wall. On a sudden, light from heaven shone around him, and that he fell to the ground. Oh, it looks like a bird's nest with eggs in it. That's kind of random. Not sure if I can continue this way. No. I don't know where to go now then. I guess we have to go back the way we came. Or maybe, I think there might be a path along here we can go along. So I think we came down the steps, didn't we? Did we come down the steps? Or did we come along this path? No, we came along this path, so perhaps we have to go up on the other path. Don't know why, but I feel very slightly on the edge playing this. In a weird kind of way. I think it may be the slightly howling wind that you can see.
I will drag my leg behind me. I will drag
Here
it like
even.
a crumpled hatchback, tires blown and sparking across the dimming lights of my vision. I'm running out of painkillers and am following the flicker of the moon home. When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they restarted his heart with the jump leads from a crumpled hatchback. It took 21 attempts to convince it to wake up.
Oh, so they did bring him round again then. Okay, I don't really see anything here. Apart from the candle, of course. Okay, let's continue this way. Yeah, I think it's the wind that's creeping me out.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fibre, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
So what does this say here? He was proceeding, and he was proceeding. Well, that looks like a Y. Maybe it's just where the paint's run. He was proceeding on his journey. Yeah, this wind is really freaking me out. Because of course I'm wearing a headset, so it's like right in my ears. What's this? And I don't know, come here or near? I can't read that last word. No, I can't read it. And he...
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
So, and he was 3? Or there, 3? 3 days without what does that last word say? Without sight? Isn't there something on the other side? And neither did he eat nor drink. So some of these seem to be like Bible quotes. Oh, that's the end of the last one.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight, I will take flight. So I'm thinking maybe that we're meant to be like a visitor to the island, and then we found the diary perhaps, and we're just reading his diary pages. No writing, I can't really see what it says though. Something must seem
Blind with panic, deaf with the roar of the caged traffic, heart stopped on the road to Damascus, Paul sat at the roadside hunched up like a gull, like a bloody gull, as useless and as doomed as a syphilitic cartographer, a dying goat herd, an infected leg, a kidney stone, blocking the traffic bound for Sanford and Exeter. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. All his roads and his tunnels and his paths led inevitably to this moment of impact. This is not a recorded natural condition. He should not be sat there with his chemicals and his circuit diagrams. He should not be sat there at all.
This wind is really freaking me out. I think this would be really good if it was in like VR. I think it would probably freak you out even more if this was a VR game.
I have run out of places to climb. I will abandon this body and take to the air. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jacobson? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jacobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
So he killed himself? Because he knew he was dying anyway, maybe? I don't know. He threw himself off the cliff.
Come back.
So we got another trophy, Paul. So I guess that's it. I think I probably missed a few bits out. I think there's probably some audio bits that I missed. But yeah, that was something different. A bit spooky. Right, so that only took an hour and 20 minutes, so it's only 9 o'clock. So let's see, what can we... Perhaps we should come back with some more Crystal Chronicles. I was kind of expecting it to be like at least 2 or 3 hours. Normally it takes me a lot longer to go through games than the recommended time. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the stream and come back with some Crystal Chronicles, I think. Okay, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back.